Or they on through an Orthodox Christian lens. It is July 25th, 2025, and I have some information for you regarding the statements by the Orthodox Patriarch of Jerusalem and the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, and some other information on the Flotilla, the Freedom Flotilla, and another update on something else. So I'm going to go first to this video where they're speaking about what's going on with Gaza. So the Orthodox Patriarch is the heavily bearded man on the right, and then the Latin Patriarch obviously is the one on the right. Let's see what they have to say.
We gather today with hearts burdened by sorrow, yet steadfast in faith, following our pastoral mission to Gaza, a land bruised by prolonged affliction and pierced by the cries of its people. To the international community, we say, silence in the face of suffering is a betrayal of conscience. To the whole people of Gaza, we, the Church and her leaders, stand in solidarity with you.
I want to start with a quotation from the second to Corinthians. Humanitarian aid is not only necessary, it is a matter of life and death. Refusing it is not a delay, but a sentence. Every hour without food, water, medicine, and shelter causes deep harm. We have seen it. Men holding out in the sun for hours in the hope of simple meal. This is a humiliation that is hard to bear when you see it with your own eyes. It is morally unacceptable and unjustifiable. It is time to end this nonsense, end the war, and put the common good of people as the top priority. We pray and call for the release of all those deprived of freedom, for the return of the missing, the hostages, and for the healing of long-suffering families on all sides. Gaza is almost totally destroyed, and no one is exempted. It's not the first time it happens. It happens also in the Holy Family more than years ago, St. Porphyrius, in the first weeks of the war, and every time was a mistake. Maybe it's a mistake, I don't know, because when you keep bombing everywhere, but we cannot have proof of everything. I suppose, we hope there will be an investigation and we'll clarify.
The first experience and the impression that we had, it was when we, on our way to the Church of the Holy Family, we saw people stranded, elderly people, women, young boys, and this was the impression that those people, they look totally starved and hungry, and we were wondering how those people, they are living, they are surviving. No food, no water, no place to live. We saw some tents which actually were made of paper and nylon. It was a real, very sad impression. And this is, and we're talking how we can help and how can we offer our services for those people.
Destruction is much more, almost everywhere. What struck me when I went to see the Rosary schools, Rosary Sister School, was in the midst of a very living quarter of the city of Gaza. When I arrived there, I couldn't recognize. There was simply nothing.
Gosh.
Nothing.
Totally erased.
Totally erased.
That's terrible.
Was totally death there. So this make a very strong impression, impact about the change of the life there. Then, of course, the starvation. Starvation, you don't see starvation, you experience starvation. When you are there, you see the queue, people asking, and the children asking for money, for bread, and so on. When you are moving around, they saw that there are foreigners asking for bread, something to eat, everywhere. And also difficult to find bread, difficult to find everything. So, and the prices. I mean, 1 kilo of tomatoes can be more than $100.
I'm just wondering, while they were there, I'm wondering how they got in there. I assume they were allowed in. I don't think that they would have snuck in by the Israeli IDF. But I assume then that they didn't allow them to bring in any food, because I was saying he's talking about all this. They couldn't even bring in a loaf of bread or some flour or something for these people, water, whatever it is. And I'm not hearing that so far. I don't know if he'll explain that, but it just came to my mind. Sorry.
And many other things, so the black market. And this is what we experimented. We called to all the international leaders, of course, first of all, the President of the United States, to be proactive.
Sure.
And to take an important role in order to stop this devastation, human devastation, and so on.
I wish he'd listen.
First weeks of war, and every time was a mistake. There is a mistake.
There's the Holy Family Catholic Church. 3 Orthodox Christians that were seeking refuge in there were killed by that bomb, by the tanks that actually did that. It wasn't an airlift. It wasn't through the air. Well, they're probably pressured to be allowed in, but no food, no water. Okay, so it seems to be showing the same thing again. All right, well, that must have been very difficult for them to see, but they needed to witness that. Very, very hard to watch, but the Latin Patriarch was saying, oh, you know, if we're hoping the United States president will do something, which, you know, I have zero confidence or hope that that'll happen. This has been going on for 3 years, and he's, you know, before he was in office and when he came in office, and only that small ceasefire at the beginning did it to give any relief to the Palestinians. Since then, it's like, well, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't. And that is going to be he'll be judged for that. And we're judged for everything we do, everything we say. And so with that interesting, moving piece, as you can see them interacting with those poor people and Palestinians, Gaza and everything, and them saying that everything was erased, which is what they're trying to do, erase the people, ethnically cleanse. I saw an article today that the Israeli official said or something like, this will be a Jewish place from now on. And I have something to share with you now regarding an update on the Flotilla, the Freedom Flotilla, which is called the Handala. There's just a little bit on that. The Freedom Flotilla's Handela, a vessel carrying humanitarian aid and activists, is currently en route to Gaza amid reports of Israeli interference, of course. As of July 25th, 2025, the coalition has lost contact with the Handela, which is what happened with the other one, with communications jammed and drones observed near the ship, raising concerns about potential interception or attack. The crew, including activists, journalists, and politicians, aims to break with Israel's blockade of Gaza and deliver essential supplies. God be with them. Handela's mission, as we said what that is, they're trying to help out, to get the much, vital aid needed in there. The ship's name references the Palestinian cartoon character Handala, symbolizing resistance to injustice. And I told you all about what happened before, that they had launched from Gallipoli, Italy, beginning its final on July 20th, its final leg to the journey to Gaza. However, shortly after departure, the ship faced suspected sabotage with a rope found around its propeller. Remember that? And then now they've lost communication, which is what happened with the Madeline, the boat before. So the Madeline, I guess is how you say it. I'm afraid the same thing's going to happen with them, but let's just pray. Meanwhile, the Houthis are still at it, because that's what they vowed, that they were going to do all they could to disrupt what was going on in Gaza to their brothers, their Palestinian brothers and sisters. So, I'm going to share this really quickly. New day, new Houthi attack on Israel. After missile, pro-Iran, Houthis now fire drone. In dead of night, Houthis shock exhausted IDF. Iran-backed Houthi rebels intensified attacks on Israel amid the ongoing war in Gaza. Houthi militants launched a drone toward Israel from Yemen overnight Thursday. The Israeli military in a statement said it destroyed an enemy drone midair. IDF said that the Israeli Air Force intercepted the drone launched by Houthis. Houthi drone didn't trigger sirens in Israel, as it didn't pose a threat to populated areas. Sirens were, however, sounded in Durat and Ibim, but the threat turned out to be a false identification. Houthis have been attacking Israel in solidarity with the people of Gaza due to war. On late Wednesday night, Houthis launched a ballistic missile at Israel from Yemen. IDF said Houthi missile failed mid-air and never breached Israeli airspace. Ben Gurion Airport halted all flights as a safety measure before reopening shortly after. On July 22nd, sirens erupted in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem after the IDF intercepted a Houthi missile. Millions of residents in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem scrambled for shelter just before 6 a.m. Houthis upped escalation after the IDF carried out strikes on its targets in Yemen. Israel bombed Hodeidah port in Yemen in response to repeated attacks by the Houthis. Israeli Defense Minister Katz said IDF struck terror targets of Iran-backed Houthis, who are the real terrorists. IDF said the strikes targeted engineering vehicles, fuel storage, and naval vessels. Yes, sounds like the right stuff. Houthis maintain attacks will be halted only when the war in Gaza is over and the siege is lifted. So there you go. There's some updates there for you. I hope it was informative and for you, and you got something out of this information, this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you all have a blessed evening. Until next time.